You're 3 weeks away from launching that business, 2 interviews away from landing your dream job, 5 pounds away from your goal weight, 1 conversation away from the relationship breakthrough you've been working toward for months, and then something shifts. Suddenly you're procrastinating on the final details. You're finding reasons to postpone that crucial conversation. You're sabotaging your own progress right when you're about to cross the finish line. But what if I told you this isn't a character flaw or a sign that you don't really want success? What if this pattern of self-sabotage right before breakthrough is actually your nervous system's way of protecting you from something it perceives as dangerous? And what if understanding this could finally free you from repeating the cycle over and over again? Let me paint a picture that might feel uncomfortably familiar. You've been working towards something important for months, maybe even years. You've overcome obstacles, pushed through resistance, developed new skills. You can literally taste the success you've been chasing. And then, just when you're on the verge of achieving it, you start doing things that don't make any logical sense. You stop following the diet that was working perfectly. You skip the networking event that could change your career. You pick a fight with your partner right when your relationship was finally improving. You find excuses to avoid finishing the project that could transform your business. From the outside, it looks like you're afraid of success. People tell you you have a fear of success or that you don't believe you deserve good things. But that's not quite right, is it? Because you do want success. You've been working toward it relentlessly. You've sacrificed, you've struggled, you've pushed through when everything in you wanted to quit. So why, at the moment of breakthrough, do you suddenly become your own worst enemy? Here's what's really happening, and it's going to completely change how you see this pattern. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between good stress and bad stress. It doesn't care that you're about to achieve something amazing. All it knows is that you're approaching unfamiliar territory, and unfamiliar territory has historically been dangerous for humans. Think about it from your nervous system's perspective. You've survived your entire life up to this point operating at a certain level. You've developed strategies, coping mechanisms, and ways of being that have kept you alive and relatively safe. But now you're about to step into a completely different version of yourself. A version that has achieved this goal, that operates at this higher level, that has capabilities and responsibilities you've never had before. And your nervous system is asking, what if this new version of you can't handle what comes next? What if success brings problems we don't know how to solve? What if we lose the people we love because we've changed too much? So it does what it's designed to do. It hits the brakes, hard. But there's something even deeper happening here, something most people never recognize. Self-sabotage right before success isn't really about fear of failure. It's about fear of losing who you are. You see, we all have what psychologists call an identity homeostasis. It's like a thermostat for your sense of self. When you start to move too far outside of who you believe yourself to be, internal alarms start going off. Let's say you've always been the person who tries hard but never quite makes it. The underdog. The one with potential that's never fully realized. There's a strange comfort in that identity, even if it's painful. Because at least you know how to be that person. You know what to expect from yourself and what others expect from you. You know how to navigate relationships from that position. You know how to make sense of your world through that lens. But if you actually succeed, if you actually become the person who achieves their goals, who follows through, who wins, who are you then? That question is terrifying to a part of your psyche that has organized your entire life around being someone else. And then there's the relationship piece that nobody talks about. Success changes the dynamic with everyone in your life. And part of you knows this, even if you're not conscious of it. When you lose weight, some people might feel threatened by your discipline or triggered by their own struggles. When you start a successful business, friends who are stuck in jobs they hate might start treating you differently. When you break through patterns that have been holding you back, you might outgrow relationships that were built on shared dysfunction. Your nervous system is incredibly sophisticated. It's running calculations you're not even aware of. If I become successful, will my partner still love me? Will my friends still want me around? Will my family still see me as one of them? So it creates situations that force you back into familiar patterns. It manufactures crises that require you to abandon your goals and return to being the helper, the struggler, the one who needs saving rather than the one who has it figured out. It's not conscious. You're not deliberately sabotaging yourself. But there's a part of you that would rather stay connected to the people you love, even if it means staying stuck, than risk losing those connections by becoming who you're capable of being. Here's where it gets really interesting. Many people who struggle with this pattern actually learned early in life that success isn't safe. Maybe you succeeded at something as a child and suddenly became the target of jealousy or resentment. Maybe your achievements were minimized or you were told not to get too big for your britches. Maybe you watched a parent or sibling get punished, criticized, or abandoned when they started doing well. So you developed what I call a success survival pattern. You learn to get close to success but never quite reach it. Close enough to feel like you're making progress, but not so close that you trigger the dangerous consequences your nervous system remembers. This pattern is incredibly common among high achievers who seem to have everything going for them but can never quite break through to the next level. They're not afraid of working hard. They're not afraid of challenge or difficulty. They're afraid of the moment when the work pays off. Now, here's what's happening in your body when you're approaching a breakthrough. Your nervous system is flooding you with stress hormones. Your fight or flight response is activated not because something bad is happening, but because something unknown is about to happen. This is why you might feel anxious, overwhelmed, or suddenly lose motivation right before a big opportunity. This is why you might get sick, create drama, or find yourself engaging in behaviors that you know aren't aligned with your goals. Your body is literally trying to get you to turn around and go back to safety. But here's the thing. This response made perfect sense when humans lived in small tribes and dramatic change usually meant danger. It doesn't make sense in the modern world where growth and evolution are not only safe but necessary for a fulfilling life. The problem is that your nervous system hasn't gotten the memo. It's still operating on ancient programming that says, different equals dangerous. So how do you work with this instead of against it? First, you have to understand that self-sabotage is not a character defect. It's a protective mechanism that's trying to keep you safe. When you can see it as protection rather than self-destruction, you can start to work with it differently. The next time you notice yourself starting to pull back right before a breakthrough, instead of judging yourself or forcing yourself forward, pause and acknowledge what's happening. Say something like, I notice that I'm feeling scared about this success. Part of me is worried about what will change if I achieve this goal. That's understandable. My nervous system is trying to protect me. Then, ask yourself, what specifically am I afraid will happen if I succeed? Really listen to the answers that come up. They might surprise you. Maybe you're afraid your partner will leave you if you become too independent. Maybe you're afraid your family will expect more from you than you can give. Maybe you're afraid you'll discover that success doesn't actually make you happy, and then you'll be left without hope. Once you identify the specific fears, you can start to address them directly. If you're afraid success will damage your relationships, you can have conversations with the people you love about your goals and your fears. You might discover that they're more supportive than you expected, or you might learn to set boundaries that protect both your growth and your connections. If you're afraid you won't be able to handle the responsibilities that come with success, you can start building those capabilities gradually instead of waiting until you're thrown into the deep end. If you're afraid success will change you in ways you don't want to change, you can get clear about your values and commit to staying true to them regardless of your external circumstances. The key is to stop treating success like something that happens to you and start treating it like something you consciously create while staying true to who you are. One of the most powerful techniques I've found is what I call identity bridging. Instead of trying to jump from who you are now to who you'll be when you succeed, you create a bridge identity, an intermediate version of yourself that can handle the transition. For example, instead of going from person who struggles with weight to person who is fit and healthy, you become person who is learning to take care of their body. Instead of going from employee to successful entrepreneur, you become person who is building something meaningful. This bridge identity acknowledges that you're in transition without requiring you to completely abandon who you've been. It gives your nervous system time to adjust to the new reality gradually instead of all at once. Here's what this looks like in practice. When you feel the urge to sabotage, instead of fighting it or giving into it, you get curious. You ask, what is this trying to protect me from? You remind yourself that it's normal to feel scared when you're about to level up. That resistance often intensifies right before breakthrough because that's when the change feels most real. You commit to moving forward anyway, not by forcing yourself, but by taking one small step while acknowledging your fears. You prove to your nervous system that you can handle success by handling it gradually, and you stay connected to the deeper reason why this goal matters to you. Not because you need it to be complete or worthy, but because achieving it will allow you to serve something larger than yourself. The next time you find yourself sabotaging right before success, remember this. The pattern isn't happening because you don't deserve good things. It's happening because your nervous system is trying to keep you safe in the only way it knows how. But you can learn to communicate with that protective part of yourself. You can show it that success doesn't have to mean losing who you are or what matters to you. Your breakthrough is not just about achieving the goal. It's about becoming the kind of person who can achieve goals without sacrificing their authentic self in the process. And that person has been inside you all along, just waiting for you to feel safe enough to let them emerge. The question isn't whether you can succeed. The question is, are you ready to let yourself be the person who does? If this resonated with you, comment "ready" below and let me know what breakthrough you're working toward. I read every comment, and your story might just inspire someone else who's struggling with the same pattern.